Have you noticed? This world is being unsealed seal by seal. The premonition of war is drawing ever closer, but it no longer comes from the military, but from the anger on our screens. Faith and trust are collapsing, not because God is dead, but because we no longer dare to trust anyone. Technology is advancing, but instead of bringing freedom, it makes everyone like a fixed data node in a program. Do you think the Book of Revelation is just a myth? Do you think the seven seals are just religious metaphors? No, those seven seals are not disasters that will only be unleashed in the future. They are happening all around us, one by one being torn apart by the hands of reality, and you are among them. When the first seal was opened, people raised the banner of victory, completely unaware that they had already become captives of information warfare. When the second seal was lifted, we thought we were fighting violence, but in fact we were just manipulated into anger. The third seal, the fourth seal. Each one is the process of your supposed freedom being rewritten into a system interface. The secret of the seven seals is not a code for doomsday, but the logic of civilizational manipulation. We're not waiting for the apocalypse. We're slowly being formatted by this apocalyptic world. The question is, can you still see it? The first seal, the white horse's victory, is an illusion, a total victory in the information war. The Book of Revelation says that when the first seal is opened, a knight emerges on a white horse. He holds a bow, wears a crown, and goes forth victorious. What a holy image. White victory, conquest, glory. Like the chosen one, the Savior, the herald of light. But have you ever considered that the truth often lies in the whitest of colors? Let's unpack this white horse symbol. In ancient times, the white horse symbolized the mobilization for war, a clean, swift, ritualized opening. But its appearance signified that the war had already been planned, waiting only to erupt. Look at this knight again. He doesn't hold a sword or a knife, but a bow, but without arrows. Is this a coincidence? No, because this isn't a real war. It's a cognitive conquest without smoke. What era are we living in? An era of the largest scale information delivery capabilities. The bow wielded by the white horse rider is a metaphor for every algorithmic distribution system, recommendation mechanism, and emotional manipulation interface today. There are no arrows, 'cause you are the arrow. Your likes, reposts, comments, expressions, anger, and fear are all gathered by the system as arrows and accurately shot at the next you. You think you're reading the news? In fact, you've already become news fodder and a weapon. You think you're expressing your opinion? In fact, you're simply being used to verify the effectiveness of a certain model. Victors are never won on the battlefield, but by those who proactively control how people perceive war. And what about the crown? The crown on his head isn't divinely ordained. It's a systematically fabricated legitimacy narrative. Who is validated first? Who is first packaged as a hero? Who cries on camera and who dies off camera? These aren't random occurrences. They are selected, paired, amplified, and then left to you and me to participate, voice, and express our opinions. But ultimately, our voices are but the dust kicked up by the white horse's hooves. We are not participating. We are merely the illusion of passive participation. So, when the first seal is opened, what we see is not a savior, but an emotional weapons system cloaked in the halo of righteousness. It wins not the battle, but the right to define truth, control direction, and wield anger. You never know who struck first. All you know is that you are becoming increasingly anxious, angry, and polarized. In the end, it doesn't matter who the enemy is. What matters is the white horse has already charged into your mind, and you are on its back, never dismounting. The second seal, the red horse, is not war, but a system of uncontrolled emotions. When the second seal is opened, Revelation writes, another horse comes out, red in color. Its rider is given the authority to make the people of the earth kill one another, and he has been given a great sword. Do you think this refers to war? Is it the kind of hot weapon conflict we're all familiar with? Armies massing, tanks advancing, missiles streaking the sky? If the first seal marks the beginning of a cognitive war, then the second seal isn't the outbreak of war. It's the collapse of humanity's emotional system. This red horse doesn't need to bring bullets. It simply stirs up your anger, rage, bigotry, hatred, and fanaticism. And war is automatically generated. Please observe the past 5 years. Why does the world seem increasingly incommunicable? Why did just a difference of opinion become, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy? Why does society so often descend into division, verbal abuse, trampling, and extreme opposition? The answer is simple. We are experiencing the activation period of the second seal. The red horse has already roamed social media platforms, trending news lists, everyday conversations, and even dinner table arguments. It's not here to kill. It's here for you to take matters into your own hands. It doesn't offer a knife, but rather emotional legitimization. Imagine what the most explosive weapon of our time is. Not a gun, not a nuclear bomb. It's a group that feels wronged. Plus, a platform that can inflame each other. Once you feel offended, deprived, ignored, or oppressed, you lose your composure, you stop discussing, and all you want is to fight back. You start taking sides, labeling, launching online trials, canceling others, and inflaming public sentiment. You think you're fighting for justice, but the rider of the red horse is already laughing because he never takes action. You're just suicidal programming in his hands. Let's look at the key words in Revelation. Kill one another. The original text isn't about acts of war. It's about the tearing apart of humanity. Families turn against each other. Friendships break up, societies collapse, and ethnic groups fight. It's not about foreign invasion, it's about self-division. This is the true terror of the red horse. It won't let you die. In the process of tearing you apart, it makes you lose the last bit of trust and connection that makes you human. It makes you treat someone who says something different as if they were the devil. Makes you raise a knife in the comments section, forgetting that the person you're talking to is also human. It makes killing seem like a legitimate moral outburst, not a sin. And what is that big knife? It's the keyboard in your hand. The moral sanction you speak of. The you and I are not the same kind in your heart. You don't need blood. All you need is a click. The red horse gallops at your fingertips. So remember, the true form of the second seal is not a tank in flames, but an emotional implosion within the fabric of human society. It doesn't involve the smoke of war, but it makes us unrecognizable. You say, how could they do this? But you've forgotten that you too have become part of them. The third seal, the dark horse, represents the imbalance of order, the invisible war between algorithms and data exploitation. The book of Revelation reads, I looked and behold, a black horse. Its rider had scales. They said, a denarius of wheat for a denarius, and 3 denarii of barley for a denarius. Do not harm the oil and the wine. You might think this speaks of famine, soaring prices, and a food crisis. But if the scales aren't markets, but rather a measurement structure, if the price isn't money, but rather the price you pay for all the information you exchange, if the oil and wine aren't food, but rather the remaining freedom, privacy, and boundaries of your personality, then you'll discover we are being shattered by the hooves of the black horse, being ripped apart by algorithms. This black horse on the surface has no lethality, no knife, no sword, no roar. It quietly treads deep within the system, like a dispassionate accountant holding a scale. On one side are your daily attention, browsing, swiping, likes, reposts, searches, and complaints. On the other side is the personality profile it constructs about you, your purchasing tendencies, your thought processes, your risk level, and your creditworthiness. And you never participate in this weighing. You merely provide the behavior, and it handles the pricing. The third seal isn't famine, but the world-setting update notification sound of order turning into data exploitation. Have you noticed? More and more free services are asking you to authorize more information. The information you receive is becoming less like the world as a whole, and more like a customized information hothouse. The platforms are already pushing your favorite things to you, and you think they understand you, but in reality, you're just being tricked into understanding them. The pricing algorithms, personalized tags, social recommendations, and trending events you're accustomed to are all slowly depriving you of your right to choose. All in the name of reasonableness. This is the dark horse. It's not scarcity itself, but the black box of the system that makes scarcity a calculated outcome. You're out of money? It's not a financial issue. You've been categorized as having low credit. You can't buy a ticket? It's not luck. The algorithm has deprioritized you. You keep getting ads? It's not a coincidence. It's the system's default feed after you've been labeled an emotional user. It's not that you can't afford it. It's that you've already been weighed and determined. You shouldn't have it. And what about oil and wine must not be wasted? Yes, a privileged few are still preserved. They know they can't destroy everything. They must preserve some light so that more people are willing to step into the darkness. A few happy stories must be preserved so that more people will quietly accept the unchangeable status quo. Just like there are always a few winners in a casino. Just like there are always a few comeback winners in chicken soup articles. Just like in the algorithmic world. There are always a few lucky individuals whose recommendations go viral. Those oil and wine are meant to make you silently hand over the wheat. The scales keep turning. You keep swiping the screen day after day, but you don't know every swipe is a weighing. You think you're relaxing, documenting your life, expressing your feelings, but in reality you've been packaged, priced, and sold. Your soul is a string of numbers. Your consciousness is a controllable variable. The fourth seal. The pale horse is not death, but a process of consciousness formatting. The book of Revelation says, "I looked and behold, a pale horse. His rider was called Death, and Hades followed him." This scene is the most terrifying. Death, the underworld, the grayness, and the hell that follows. It's like every apocalyptic movie you've seen countless times. Explosions, tidal waves of corpses, plague, judgment, and annihilation. But the true horror of this seal isn't the end. It's the silent formatting that precedes it. Have you noticed? We are experiencing a collective perceptual dulling. You've long ceased to be shocked by the suffering in the news, even if people die every day. You've gradually come to view disaster as an everyday occurrence, feeling no anger, only a slight sense of fatigue. You don't even react strongly to the news that you're being monitored. Your speech is being restricted, or your thoughts are being shaped. Why? Because the gray horse has arrived. It's not here to kill you. It's here to make you accept everything by default. The fourth seal is the system's death of consciousness plan for us. This isn't the end of the world. It's something far more dangerous. Your conscious state gradually loses its ability to react, discern, judge, and question. This isn't a catastrophe. It's simply a form of civilized desensitization. Today, you wouldn't get angry at a piece of unfair news. You'd say, "Here we go again." You wouldn't be horrified by cities turning into surveillance fortresses. You'd say, "I'm used to it." You wouldn't protest when platforms start blocking speech. You'd say, "There's nothing I can do." It's the same everywhere. You're still alive, but your nerves are dead. You're still speaking, but your voice has long been patterned, reduced to background noise. You've become a new kind of dead. It's not that your heart has stopped beating, but that your soul no longer stirs. You open your eyes every day, scrolling through trending topics, listening to comments, forwarding opinions, participating in opposition and expressing yourself. But all of this isn't your true self, but a pseudo-survival program customized for you by the system. You appear to be alive, but you're only allowed to be alive. The underworld follows the gray horse because, after the collapse of consciousness, there will no longer be a place for reality. There is no truth. Real anger, sorrow, protest, hope, faith, and love are all that remain. Only a controllable emotional bag and a predictable data pool of human behavior remain. Death is no longer sudden. It's a process of brain boiling in warm water. Until one day you realize you haven't died, but have long been replaced. You still speak, but it's no longer you who speaks. You still walk, but the direction isn't yours. You still love, hate, cry, and laugh, but those are merely emotional labels assigned to you by the algorithm. The true form of the fourth seal isn't a sea of blood and corpses at the apocalypse, but rather an entire generation, in conscious awareness accepting its formatted fate. The fifth seal. The silence of the martyrs is actually your future. The book of Revelation states, "When the fifth seal was opened, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for their testimony. They cried out with a loud voice, 'Lord, how long will you refrain from judgment and avenging our blood?'" It's a scene brimming with tension. On the ground there was silence. Beneath the altar, the souls of the wronged cried out. They weren't begging for rebirth. They were asking, when would justice return? But what's more important is this. These aren't people being killed. They are people who have already died. The significance of the fifth seal is this. When the last group of people in this world who can still speak the truth are quietly eliminated, all we'll be left with is a speechless society. Have you noticed this growing silence? You're increasingly afraid to speak the truth, fearing misunderstanding, reporting, blocking, and attacks. You're reluctant to express your opinions in group chats because of group rules, supervisory barriers, sensitive terms, and screenshot threats. You've become accustomed to using vague, polite, and neutral language before expressing your opinion. You've learned to ask yourself, will this comment cause trouble? Before expressing your opinion. Do you think you're maturing? No. You're simply getting used to censorship. The silent ones at the altar aren't ancient martyrs, preachers, or persecuted heroes. They are everyone today who wants to speak out, resist, and cry out, but is silenced. You may not be among those killed, but you experience the ritual of having your tongue sewn shut every day. You say, "I don't want to cause trouble." You say, "There's no point in speaking." You say, "Remaining silent is wisdom." But you don't realize the moment you stop speaking, you're already standing in the ashes of the fifth seal. How many people have fallen silent not because of failure, but because they realized the system never wants to hear their voices. It allows you to express yourself freely, but can delete your posts at any time. It allows you to speak freely, but the algorithm ensures that no one sees what you say. It castrates you, ultimately learning a technique of silence that pretends to have a choice. This isn't freedom you've earned. It's tamed obedience. Even if you truly want to speak out, someone will jump in and say, "You're overthinking it. Don't bring up so many sensitive topics." If you don't speak, you won't be targeted. At this point, you realize that silence is no longer just a passive outcome. It's a collective consensus of self-preservation. The fifth seal is the moment speech dies. Not because no one can speak, but because all those who can speak have learned to keep their mouths shut. They were once martyrs, now ghosts. Next, it's your turn. Will you still speak? The sixth seal. The earth and earth shake, not nature, but a split of consciousness. The book of Revelation says, when the sixth seal is opened, the earth shakes. The sun becomes black as sackcloth with hair, and the moon becomes blood red. The stars of the sky fall. The heavens recede as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island is moved out of its place. This is the most apocalyptic passage in the entire book of Revelation. The sky shifts. The earth shatters, the stars fall, and the islands drift. It's like the world is being reformatted. But here's the question. Do you believe these are natural disasters? Do you think the sixth seal involves extreme weather, cosmic changes, and tectonic shifts? No. What is truly shaken is our ability to understand the world. This seal doesn't destroy nature. It destroys your stable belief in reality. Do you ever feel this way? The world is increasingly unlike the one you're familiar with. The common sense of the past no longer explains what's happening now. Many things that seem absurd have become mainstream, even officially defined as correct. You are increasingly confused about what's true and what's false, even beginning to doubt the very meaning of true and false. This is a manifestation of the sixth seal taking effect. The world isn't collapsing, but your consensus model of the world is crumbling. In the past, we believed black is black, white is white, men are men, women are women. News is information, science is rationality. Power has boundaries and rules can be questioned. But now, between black and white, there's a fluid, position-shaping process. Gender, identity, and values have all become fluid status management tools. News feeds emotions. Science is a weapon of ideology. Power has no boundaries and rules have become taboos. You don't live in a chaotic world. You live in a world where reality is being redefined, and you don't have the authority to restore the default settings. At this moment, the sun darkens, the moon turns blood, and the stars fall. These aren't natural phenomena, but rather the disintegration of the symbols of stability in our collective consciousness. Sun, charnel center of reason. Moonbank's emotional cycle, stars to your cosmic order. Mountains and islands, geographical affiliation, cultural roots, anchors of identity. When all of this is displaced, you'll discover you can no longer find a definitive answer to the question, where do I come from? The history, language, faith, identity, justice, love, and freedom you grew up believing in can all be redefined as dangerous content or non-fact by a platform, a political decree, or an algorithm. The deepest crisis of our generation isn't war or a virus, but you witness the world changing before your own eyes, yet lack a single word to accurately describe it. You're angry, but you don't know the target of your resistance. You're confused, but you find that questioning itself has been labeled. You want to hold on to something, but even that very thing is being updated. This is the true meaning of earth and earth-shaking. It's not about destroying the world. It's about making you lose your bearings in this new world. The sixth seal is an earthquake that shakes the underlying consensus of civilization. You're still standing, but the reality beneath your feet has quietly changed its name. You haven't moved, yet you can no longer find your way back. The seventh seal, why has it not been opened? Because the end is in your hands in the book of Revelation. The last seal is the most mysterious. When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. No war, no judgment, no catastrophe, sea of blood, or apocalyptic beast. Just silence. Why? Because the seventh seal doesn't activate automatically, like the first six. It's not part of the destiny system. Its opening requires a choice, and this choice doesn't lie with God, heaven, or the system. It lies in your hands. Have you ever considered perhaps these seven seals aren't a sequential revelation, but rather a consciousness test process? The first six seals are the system's step-by-step verification of your domestication. Have you accepted the illusion of victory manipulated by information? White horse. Have you been torn apart by emotions into manageable units? Red horse 3. Have you acquiesced to living in an order dictated by algorithms? Dark horse. Have you learned to die while still living? Pale horse. Have you chosen silence over expression? Soul at the altar. 6. Have you lost your fundamental anchor in reality? Heaven and earth shake. If you pass all these tests, then the seventh seal is the final choice in your life. Do you continue to live in this system-generated reality? Or do you want to awaken to true, free consciousness? The seventh seal is silent because the system has completed its part. Now it's time for you to express your opinion. It no longer issues commands. It awaits your input. What will you choose? You can continue swiping, liking, reposting, and posting a seemingly thoughtful comment. Then return to the algorithmic track. You can dismiss this passage thinking, this is too much, and continue to participate in the flow of controlled emotions. Or you can pause and question, who am I? Why am I seeing this? Do I still have the power to choose? At this moment, the seventh seal is before you. It is silent, but it is also open. It's not that God hasn't revealed it. It's that you haven't decided yet who you are and what kind of world you want to live in. The first six seals are the system's script. The seventh is your answer. Do you still believe in the existence of a certain truth? Do you still yearn for an awakening not programmed? Are you still willing to pay the price to protect that tiny spark of light within you, yet to be digitized? That light may not bring victory, but it can illuminate the step from obedience to freedom. Thus, the seventh seal carries no disaster. It simply contains a hidden message. You are being asked for authorization. Do you wish to restart your consciousness operating system? Click yes or no, your choice.